Hello and welcome to the first official episode of Paranormality. Paranormality is a paranormal channel, as assumed by the title of the channel, that is mainly focused around the paranormal aspects and events, as well as explaining what these things are and how they might be solved, as well as other mysterious circumstances that have gone unsolved. Today I was originally thinking about doing an episode on shadow people, and that will probably come soon as I do want to talk about that and my experiences. However, an anomaly that we have found on Google Maps has in fact been brought to my attention, and I found it fit to talk about Flight 19 this time. Flight 19 was the designation of a group of 5 General Motors Eastern Aircraft Division TBM Avenger torpedo bombers that disappeared over the Bermuda Triangle on December 5, 1945 after losing contact during a United States Navy overwater navigation training flight from Naval Air Station Fort Lauderdale, Florida. What we're about to see and what we're about to hear is a very strange story, and unfortunately, it has never been solved. These men on these flights are still lost and presumed dead after the entire ordeal. Now, we did find something on Google Maps that surprised me when I noticed how close it looked to one of these bombers. Before we show you the image, we're going to read off the radio communications that were sent by Flight 19's airmen and all people trying to look for them as in on the mainland. An unidentified crew member asked Powers, one of the students, for his compass reading. Powers replied, "I don't know where we are. We must have gotten lost after that last turn." Cox then transmitted, "This is FT-74, planar boat calling Powers. Please identify yourself so someone can help you." The response after a few moments was a request from the others and a flight for suggestions. FT-74 tried again, and a man identified as FT-28, Taylor, came on. "FT-28, this is FT-74. What is your trouble?" "Both of my compasses are down and are out," Taylor replied, "and I am trying to find Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am over land, but it is broken. I am sure I'm in the Keys, but I don't know how far down, and I don't know how to get to Fort Lauderdale." FT-74 informed the NAS that the aircraft were lost, then advised Taylor to put the sun on his port wing and fly north up the coast to Fort Lauderdale. Base operations then asked if the flight leader's aircraft was equipped with a standard YG-IFF transmitter, which could be used to triangulate the flight's position, but the message was not acknowledged by FT-28. Later, he would indicate that his transmitter was activated. Instead, 1645 FT-28 radioed, "We are heading 030 degrees for 45 minutes, then we will fly north to make sure we are not over the Gulf of Mexico." During this time, no bearings could be made in the flight, and IFF could not be picked up. Taylor was told to broadcast on 4,805 kHz. This order was not acknowledged, so he was asked to switch to 3,000 kHz, the search and rescue frequency. Taylor replied, "I cannot switch frequencies. I must keep my planes intact." At 1656, Taylor was again asked to turn on his transmitter for YG if he had one. He did not acknowledge, but a few minutes later it advised his flight. "Change course to 090 degrees due east for 10 minutes. About the same time, someone in the flight said if we could just fly west, we would get home. Head west." This difference of opinion later led to questions about why the students did not simply head west on their own. It has been explained that this can be attributed to military discipline. As the weather deteriorated, radio contact became intermittent, and it was believed that the 5 aircraft by this point were more than 200 nmi, or 370 kilometers, out to sea east of the Florida Peninsula. Taylor radioed, "We'll fly 270 degrees west until landfall or running out of gas," and requested a weather check at 1724. By 1750, several land-based radio stations had triangulated Flight 19's position as being within 100 nmi, or 190 kilometers, radius of 29 north, 79 west, or right about here off the coast of Titusville, or more mainly Orlando. Flight 19 was north of the Bahamas and well off the coast of central Florida, but nobody transmitted this information on an open, repetitive basis. At 1804, Taylor radioed to his flight, "Holding 270, we didn't fly far enough east, we may as well just turn it around and fly east again." By that time, the weather had deteriorated even more and the sun had set. Around 1820, Taylor's last message was received. It was also been reported that Taylor's last message was received in 1904. He was heard saying, "All planes close up tight, we'll have to ditch unless landfall. When the first plane drops below 10 gallons, we all go down together." This indicates that they were lost, and that at the very end they knew they were going down, and in the very end they were never found, and they still haven't been. The planes they were flying looked like these. This isn't a picture of Flight 19. Obviously, no pictures were taken of Flight 19 as far as I know. These are Grumman TBF-1 Avengers, which are the planes that the students were flying. Another interesting part here was this. At 21:15, the tanker SS Gaines Mills reported it had observed flames from an apparent explosion leaping 100 feet, 30 meters high, and burning for 10 minutes. Reported at position. I will show you this position, just 1 second. And here we are. This is the next spot that we found, this time where they found where they found what is reported to be a pool of oil and aviation gasoline, is significantly more close to Titusville than the last location we showed you, which you can assume from that, seems to be that they were nearly on land before going down. But what we're focusing on here is the fact that he said earlier, "I am sure I'm in the Keys, but I don't know how far down, and I don't know how to get to Fort Lauderdale." He was sure he was in the Keys. This is a couple of hours before their last transmission, I get it. However, he was sure he was in the Keys quite close to when they went down. Again, this...
Because he saw broken up islands.
He did see the broken up islands, which definitely looked like the Florida Keys. Now, again, these are the planes they were flying. What you're about to see is what we believe to be one of these planes sunken in the sand right off the Florida Keys, in around the same area that he would have reported to be. These are the Florida Keys. Real close to Key West, you can see, and right about up here is our location. Now, when you zoom in again, eventually you will find. Can I get it on your? It is? Okay, this is your.
Yep, right off the coast of
Continue
Key
zooming
West.
in and you'll see this small dot. Continue zooming in on the small dot and you'll see what seems to be a cylinder shape. Continue zooming in and you'll see a plane that strangely looks like a World War II era American Air Force plane that almost looks like a Grumman. As you can see here, it has the perfect stars of the United States Air Force symbol at that time during the World War II era, which you can see are about at the same points that they would have been on their wings, as well as the cockpit, which seems to have gone a long ways, which also went in like this. You can also notice that the propeller is there and that the wings in the back seem to have the same size.
The reason that it's rainbow colored.
The reason that it's rainbow colored is obviously that we believe that this is underneath the water here and that the sun is shining onto the water and hitting the metal, creating a rainbow effect. Now, you may notice that the wings do look a slight bit deformed, but we believe that this is due to erosion gradually, because again, this would have been about 80 years. If it crashed and then waited about 80 years, I'm sure the wings would look deformed as now. This does seem to be with the stars, which you can clearly see. They have the points, and they have the blue background. Clearly, this does seem to be a World War II era American Air Force plane that has been so far unnoticed off the coast of the Florida Keys except till now. This also shares an a strange resemblance to a Grumman, which is strangely what the Flight 19 students were flying off the Florida Keys, which again, he reported to have been off. He said he knew he was in the Keys. Alright, so to recap, Flight 19 was a flight that went towards the Bermuda Triangle during a training mission in Grumman Avengers of the United States Air Force. When they went into the Bermuda Triangle, they eventually lost all navigation systems when trying to get back to Fort Lauderdale. They flew blind, communicating with the ground, until eventually they sent a last transmission and went down, assumedly went down, and were never seen again. Right about until now, we did not know where any of the planes were, but I am going to guess that this might be one of them. Alright, thank you for watching this a beginning video to the Paranormality channel. We will be talking about more paranormal activity, especially a lot more than just the Bermuda Triangle, and a lot more than just trying to figure stuff out, but more as with personal experiences and such. So it won't just be things like this. We will travel to every aspect of the paranormal, from the Bermuda Triangle to extraterrestrials to ghosts to the spirit world, whatever you want to call it. And all of those things will eventually be reported on, giving you a short recap and personal opinions and things. Plus more evidence, because Flight 19 doesn't really have a lot of evidence except for its story and a few of the personal reports that people had. Until now, I really didn't know. It was a very strange story, but I didn't really know what it was. In fact, me and my mother, the duo here, are both avidly paranormal researchers, so we do go onto Google Maps, mostly her, and randomly search for anomalies in the sea. And today we found that one, which looked like a plane, and I noticed the stars in the wings. And then she said it was off the Florida Keys, and I got that idea, and it does seem to be strangely in resemblance to a Grumman. Now, yes, thank you for watching this short little video on Flight 19 and where maybe one of the planes actually went. And we'll see you in the next spooky video. Goodbye.